The night air was cold and still. Captain Carl Thompson moved in the shadows, an ex-Air Force pilot with nerves of steel. Tonight, he'd attempt the impossible: steal $5 million and vanish. Every detail was planned: routes, schedules, weaknesses. He would use everything the Air Force taught him, but this time against the system. It wasn't about greed, it was about the thrill, proving he could do it. Tonight, he was more than a pilot. He was a phantom, ready to vanish. Carl looked up at the stars, silent witnesses to his daring act. A small, modified Cessna waited, his escape pod. He was a pilot who knew how to use the sky as his hiding place. Tonight, the sky was full of secrets, and he was about to become one of them. Carl Thompson wasn't your typical criminal. He was a decorated Air Force pilot, a natural in the cockpit. He flew F-16s, thriving on speed, power, and the feeling of control. Calm under pressure, he made split-second decisions that saved lives. But the rules on the ground felt too simple for a mind like his. He craved a challenge the military couldn't provide. The idea started as a game. Could he plan the perfect crime? He studied bank security, transport logistics, law enforcement procedures. The more he learned, the more possible it seemed. His unique skills as a pilot gave him an edge. He could use the sky to escape. The game became a plan: target a Federal Reserve transfer facility. Security was tight, but not airtight. Carl observed for months, learning guard shifts, truck schedules, and communication protocols. He used his avionics expertise to devise ways to bypass security. The thrill of the challenge consumed him. It was the ultimate mission. Carl's plan was a masterpiece of precision and timing. He bought a used Cessna under a fake name, modified it for range and stealth. He installed silent navigation gear, invisible to standard tracking. The heist would happen on a Tuesday night, during the weekly currency transfer. First, he'd jam the facility's communications for 15 minutes. Next, he'd use remote-controlled spike strips to disable the armored truck on a quiet stretch of road. The guards, cut off and stranded, would wait for help that wouldn't come. Carl would approach unseen, open a maintenance hatch on the truck's roof, and drop into the cargo bay. He'd grab the cash and vanish before the guards realized what happened. A dirt bike would take him through the woods to his hidden airstrip. The Cessna would be waiting, ready for a silent takeoff. Every move was calculated. No violence, no mistakes. It was a plan only a pilot could pull off. The night of the heist arrived, moonless, perfect. Carl crept through the woods, killed the facility's communications, and Phase 1 was complete. He set the spike strip and waited. The armored truck appeared, right on schedule. Tires blew, the truck stopped. Dressed in black, Carl emerged, tools in hand. He climbed onto the truck and dropped into the cargo bay. The smell of old bills filled the air. He grabbed 2 duffel bags, $5 million. Bags over his shoulder, he sprinted to his hidden dirt bike. He sped through the forest to his secret airstrip. The Cessna waited, engine ready. 25 minutes after the truck stopped, Carl was airborne. The perfect heist, silent, clean, and gone before anyone knew. The sky swallowed him whole. By the time police found the stranded truck, Carl was long gone. The FBI arrived, baffled by the clean, quiet scene. No witnesses, no fingerprints, just missing money. Agent Miller, a seasoned investigator, knew this was the work of a professional. The investigation began. Airports checked, flight logs scoured. Nothing. Carl's plane was never on their radar. He'd flown low, invisible to air traffic control, landing at a remote airstrip in another state. He paid the owner cash, hid the plane in a barn, and walked to a nearby town. There, he picked up a stashed car, changed his appearance, and blended into traffic. The FBI hit dead ends, custom jamming device, untraceable spike strips. Miller realized they were chasing a ghost, a strategist who anticipated every move. The thief left a perfect puzzle, and the hunt for the Sky Bandit was on. Carl, meanwhile, was just another face on the highway. The money was safe, the trail cold. The authorities had no idea where to even begin. The Sky Bandit had vanished into thin air. Weeks passed, and the FBI had nothing. The Flying Phantom case was growing cold. Agent Miller was obsessed, convinced the thief was a pilot. He ordered a search of all licensed pilots with technical or military backgrounds, thousands of names. Meanwhile, Carl lived quietly in a Florida coastal town, never drawing attention. He kept the money hidden, converting small amounts at a time. He followed the news, studying Miller's every move. To buy time, Carl created a false trail, anonymous tips, a fictional ex-mercenary, planted clues online. The FBI chased shadows, wasting weeks. While they searched, Carl laundered his money, small deposits in different cities, always under the radar. It was slow but safe. He was patient, always one step ahead. The FBI was chasing a ghost in the machine. Carl's greatest weapon was patience. He knew endurance, not speed, would win the game. The Sky Bandit remained invisible. Agent Miller, frustrated by dead ends, went back to the start. The heist was near an Air Force base. What if the thief was military? Miller requested a list of pilots recently discharged or on leave. The list was small. One name stood out: Carl Thompson. Brilliant pilot, expert in avionics, recently discharged. Suspicious timing. Miller's team dug deeper. Cash purchases for electronics, a rented hangar at a remote airfield. The pieces fit. The FBI put Carl under surveillance in Florida. He lived a boring, predictable life, no sign of wealth. But Carl noticed the watchers, the same cars, the same faces. He didn't panic. He stuck to his cover story. But he knew the game was entering its final stage. The hunters were closing in. Carl prepared for the next move. The net was tightening, but the ghost was still free. Miller was sure they had their man, but catching him would be another matter. The final chase was about to begin. Miller needed hard evidence, so the FBI set a trap. They baited Carl with a rare vintage plane for sale, leaking the info where he'd see it. Carl was tempted, but cautious. He arranged to scout the meeting point first. Arriving early, he watched the airfield from a distance. He spotted the setup: a van, men in suits, a camera lens glinting in the trees. His instincts screamed, trap. Carl melted back into the woods, never showing himself. The FBI waited for hours, but their target never appeared. Miller realized he'd underestimated his opponent. Only the real Sky Bandit would be this careful. The failed sting confirmed it. Carl Thompson was their ghost, but the close call told Carl it was time to disappear again. He packed a bag, took some cash, and vanished. The FBI found his apartment and car days later. He was already gone. The legend grew. The Sky Bandit was always one step ahead. The chase continued, but Carl was a ghost once more. The sky remained his hiding place. After the failed sting, Carl vanished, leaving behind his apartment, car, and old life. The FBI missed him by hours. Agent Miller was both furious and impressed. The investigation dragged on for years, but Carl was never found. Occasional sightings surfaced: a man in Mexico, a sailboat in the Caribbean, but nothing stuck. Officially, Carl Thompson was never caught. The case remains open. The $5 million were never recovered. The story became legend. A brilliant mind who used his training to commit the perfect crime. Some say he was caught under another name, others believe he's living free. Carl Thompson became a modern folk tale, the pilot who flew away with a fortune. He outsmarted the best, not with violence, but with intelligence and patience. Whether he lives in luxury or anonymity, no one knows. One thing is certain. On a dark night, a daring pilot took a massive gamble and won. He became the ghost who owned the sky.